Well, I never said the Jews control Hollywood, but Jewish people have said that. We can share an article of a link here, LA, that was published in the LA Times a couple of years ago, where a Jewish man wrote, let's face it, we do run Hollywood. That was totally fine a couple of years ago. Maybe he's anti-Semitic, though.
Pardon? Never fine. It's not ever been fun.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that, like, this was something, this has been said, and it's actually funny because I was reading a very old article yesterday, forgetting the guy's name, I'm blanking on him, but he was the founder of Screw magazine. He's a Jewish guy, Al something. I'm blanking on his name. Anyways, he gave a very long interview about how, the Jews hire the Jews when they get into Hollywood. And like I said, this was said not 100 years ago. So this was something that many Jewish people have said, but sure, I guess you're saying that now it's a trope. But I just want to be clear that many Jewish people have said this in many interviews within the last 50 years, okay?
As I said, there's a whole book.
I do want to press pause on that and ask you a question. Is it possible for Jewish people to form a gang, full stop?
Define gang.
To form a gang.
Let me phrase that, because I don't even need to ask that question. The answer is, of course, because there were Jewish gangs in New York.
Okay, yes, of course. Common sense that Jewish people can form a gang, Black people can form a gang, gangs exist, will always exist, Jewish gangs have existed and will always exist. Worldwide, gangs happen. How absurd it is to say that if you think that there is a gang that is operating, to even suggest that there might be a person that is automatically a trope. That would mean it would be impossible for us to illustrate the gang existence. As soon as you say it's a trope and magically you can't talk about it, I gave examples of multiple people in Hollywood, okay? We're talking about from Dave Chappelle to Kanye West to Cat Williams to other artists that are Christian that have said that there is some sort of a gang, full stop, that is operating in Hollywood. I then gave an example of a list of exact names that Michael Jackson said were operating as a gang. Rabbi Shmuley was among that list of people. So to say that we can't even explore that possibility, that Rabbi Shmuley, and that this list that somebody is giving or something that artists are saying might be true is somehow anti-Semitic. I'm not saying all Black people, all Jewish people are gang members. I am saying that it is, of course, possible that a gang is operating anywhere in the world. That should just be allowed to be said without being accused of creating a trope.
Candace, again, we're at the same place that we started at, of when I said to you, I don't get to tell a Black man if he's feeling racist. I don't get to tell a woman if you're experiencing misogyny. I keep telling you that things you have said repeatedly are hurtful to a huge number of Jews and are considered anti-Semitic. And instead of hearing any, wow, I didn't realize that, all I have heard for the lengthy time we've been on together, which I, again, think is very gracious and kind of you, but all I have heard from you, not one sense of responsibility, not one, I've said to you that if something is true or not true, I don't have issues saying I'm wrong, I don't have issues apologizing, but I haven't heard from you one sense of responsibility that you have, just use this as the example, you have tapped into a 1,000-year-old blood libel trope, a century-old trope specifically about Hollywood. And you keep going off, well, can't this be intellectually right? Can't you do this? Can't you? You've hurt a bunch of Jews. Did you want to?
Absolutely
yes or no?
not. Absolutely not.
Okay, you did. You have. You continue to.
Yes, I understand. And what I would say to
you don't want to, then realize that what you're saying it taps into centuries-old hate. Realize
I'm just going to tell you that when I am speaking,
hurtful.
I get what you were saying.
Hateful.
I get what you were saying, but I'm going to tell you what this is reminiscent to me of. This is reminiscent
so you can't
of when.
Just say, I'm sorry.
Listen, please just let me finish my statement. This is reminiscent to me of when I got interested about BLM and I thought that there was corruption in BLM and Black people all over America were crying, insisting on the BLM narrative, and I thought that there was corruption and that this was operating like a gang and they were taking money and there was money laundering. There were tons of people, Al Sharpton among them, and it sounds a little, you can't possibly say this, Candace. You can't, it leans into this, it leans into that. But my instincts are my instincts, and I have a right to pursue those instincts. And to the extent that any black person was harmed in the making of my documentary, and then I ended up being proven right that there was corruption that was happening, I'm very sorry that they felt that way. So I will say, to the extent that any person who is finding my interest in what is happening in Hollywood feels that is leaning into some trope and that I shouldn't, keep going, I am sorry that you feel that way. But I am also going to follow.
I'm sorry.
But I am
that is just disingenuous. That's not an apology.
But I'm telling you that I understand that people have feelings, but I would like to follow and pursue the facts. And the facts are that many people in Hollywood are saying that there is some sort of a gang that is operating. I am not blaming Jewish people. Okay, well, I'm not blaming Jewish people for that at all. So I just want to be very clear.
But that is an anti-Semitic trope that has led to all sorts of horrible things.
What did it lead to in Hollywood?
I'm telling you, as someone who knows this, and by the way, again, maybe you should read what I was writing about BLM, because you and I were on the same page.
Okay, and did you get called racist and people calling you all sorts of names that maybe weren't true because you thought BLM was just actually corrupt?
I actually took them on about the fact that all lives matter. My house was vandalized 4 times.
And that was considered racist at that time. So would you have been right to revoke that and apologize to black people because they said that was racist?
No one, but here's the thing. No one sat there and said, you're a racist about it. They said
all lives matter was racist.
They said all sorts of things, and I got death threats. And as I say, my house was vandalized 4 times.
Mm-hmm. But you were right.
I called for a strike of MLB on PJ Media, of Major League Baseball, the day that they decided to put BLM on Major League Baseball. And if someone said to me, you know what, you're playing into a stereotype that goes back centuries old of fill in the blank, I would have rewritten something. I would have said, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I am telling you with absolute authority that what you are saying about Hollywood is anti-Semitic. There's not this is what theologians, this is constant, and it is an expression of a blood libel going back to 1144. You're saying, well, I don't mean to hurt someone. Okay. If I apologize to you, my apology would be, gee, I apologize. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry. Not, I'm sorry for how you feel.
Well, no, I genuinely am sorry if you interpreted my suspicion. I genuinely am sorry if you interpreted that, like, my suspicion about a gang operating Hollywood to be some sort of a condemnation of all Jews. It's actually the exact opposite, which is why I specifically named.
I'm telling you that.
Are you going to let me speak? That is the reason why I specifically named Rabbi Shmuley, who was listed by Michael Jackson, who has been listed multiple times and who I believe operates like a gang member by his threats that he's been saying against me, that he's going to bankrupt me. I'm not going to pretend that I don't think that Rabbi Shmuley operates like a thug, and I'm going to withhold me stating that clearly because you're saying, well, that leans into an anti-Semitic trope. Him being Jewish doesn't mean anything to me. Him acting like a thug and making threats against my life and livelihood is something that... I did say Rabbi Shmuley. I did say Rabbi Shmuley.
So time out, because you just said something, okay, that is really beautiful if you walk that talk. You just said him being Jewish, him being a rabbi doesn't have anything to do with him being a thug.
I said that on my episode too, about the bugs and the Crips.
Wait. I don't watch your episodes, Candace, forgive me.
Well, how can you write these articles and then say, I'm sorry, I didn't watch it? That is completely ridiculous. So you get to write articles and libel me, but then say I didn't watch the episode? You wrote a whole section on the episode.
I watched the clips that you do, but I don't know what
that's ridiculous. You literally wrote an entire paragraph saying that I attacked him as a thug, a monster, all of this stuff. And you bring up the Bloods and the Crips, which is from that episode, but fail to mention that I said they're using...
I watched your Blood Crips... Wait. Candace, I watched your Blood Crips part, and I read your comments on Twitter about calling him a thug.
I specifically, in that episode of Bloods and Crips, said that being Jewish is being used as seals has nothing to do with the fact that they're Jewish whatsoever.
But you kept calling him a rabbi. And the simple reality is, if you really believe, that Shmuley Boteach is doing something wrong.
He's operating like a thug.
Which I hear you believe. If you believe that he is acting in whatever way, calling him out on that, God bless you. But when you take it to the place of putting unholy rabbi, because that's your definition, when you take it to the place of him being if he's a jerk to you, he's a jerk to you. It doesn't matter if he's a rabbi, a priest, Jewish, or whatever, right? So why bring up the rabbi and Jewish part?
Well, first off, he goes by Rabbi Shmuley, so that's just his.
Wait. Okay. But wait, but why bring up if someone's being a jerk to you? It doesn't matter if they're white, black, purple, Jewish, Catholic, or anything else. They're being a jerk.
Okay.
So all we ever need to do is call them out for being a jerk.
I didn't say Rabbi Shmuley is being a jerk to me because he's Jewish. I just called him Rabbi Shmuley because that's what he goes by.
No, but
we are running out of time, so I do want to give you just a full minute here to wrap up and to express to people how you feel about this issue, because I think that's really important.
Look, I first of all, I appreciate that you wanted to have a dialogue in any form. What I'm extremely sad, and I'm a little bit optimistic. I am optimistic that maybe you and I can have a dialogue after you watch October 7th, this film, if you actually do see it. I will arrange for it. Just have I can do with Skylar, your producer, and put him in the right contact to arrange it for. And if you really watch it, I'm very interested in your reaction. I'm a little bit optimistic about that. I am severely disappointed that we have spent however long, and I do appreciate the time, however long together. I think over an hour probably, right? And I do appreciate that. I am extremely disappointed that I did not once hear, I'd like to do a concept called tshuva in Judaism. Tshuva means that when you've done something wrong, you recognize you did it wrong, you apologize for trying to fix it, and don't do it again. Makes for a healthy society. And I am extremely, extremely disappointed that not once in our conversation did I hear you take responsibility for what you said. You have taken responsibility. I'm sorry if that made you feel that way. I'm extremely disappointed that you have decided you have a clearer definition of anti-Semitism than Lord Sachs, myself, Ben Shapiro, etc., going back, scholars, academics, whomever. I'm extremely disappointed that not once have I heard you say, wow, I messed up, Rabbi. I realize what you're saying. I understand what I did wrong. You know what? I'm not going to phrase it that way again. Using Shmuley as the example, you could just say, you know what? You're right. I don't need to attack him and his daughter being rabbis. They're just bad people to me. I don't need to make a comment about a Hollywood gang of Jews. They're just bad guys who are running Hollywood that may have whatever relationships. You've tapped into ancient tropes that are anti-Semitic tropes. You have repeatedly demonstrated a hate for Judaism and Jews. Now, I'm hoping that will change, but it takes a certain level of self-awareness to be willing to say, I did wrong, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it differently. I pray and hope that you will. I believe, I do trust when people say you have a nice heart, niceness, and I really would hope that ultimately we're both conservatives, and there are a lot of Jewish conservatives and a lot of black conservatives, and we can all be on the same side, pointing in the same direction, as opposed to being split because of these kind of repeated comments. It wasn't just one repeated that you made. And again, I hope that will change after you watch the documentary, which you've committed to me you will do. So thank you for allowing me to be here. It's your show. So
thank you very much for being here. And like I said, we are not going to edit you in any way. We will definitely give you the ability to send that video that you said of me attacking Ben, which I am very sure doesn't exist.
Thank you for reminding me of that, so I can know.
And then last thing I want to say is I have faith in my father.
Just one question, Candace. Mm-hmm. I actually, this went very long, and I have to get to a temple meeting, and then I have lunch with a mutual friend of ours, actually. So I don't know when I can get that to you. Does it matter if I don't get it to you till late this afternoon?
That should be okay.
Okay. I just wanted to be, I want to be respectful, and I also I wanted to. This has gone for both of us. This has gone on much longer, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. And I would have you back. We should always want more speech, not less of it. Nobody should ever be calling for the censorship of any person. I believe in free speech, even the speech that I disagree with. And What I'll say is what I always say. I have faith in my audience. They know who I am. They know what I have said and in what context I have said it. I have a huge Jewish following, and I am confident in their belief in me stems from the fact that they've been listening to the show, and they know that I hold no hatred in my heart against Jews.